Hi, my name is Ben from Space to Breathe, and I just wanted to give you a few things today to have a little think about to help you process a bit all that's going on at the moment. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to be using the right-hand side of your brain to do that. The left-hand side of the brain is really good at all the logical stuff that we so often need to do. And the right-hand side of the brain is really good at doing all the more creative stuff. And we in our society can often really preference the left-hand side of the brain, but it's really important that we give our right-hand side of brain a chance to do stuff too, because we can be really benefit from that. So to use your right side of the brain this afternoon, I'm going to ask you to have a little think about if you can come up with a metaphor to describe how you're thinking and feeling about what's going on in the world at the moment, and particularly in your own little world, I guess. Metaphor can be really helpful just in terms of capturing something that we might not capture if we just think with our left-hand side of our brain. So a few metaphors that I've come up with for how I'm doing at the moment, just to maybe help you and prompt you a little bit, is I was thinking that it feels for me a little bit like life is a bit of a roller coaster currently. There are some highs, there are some lows, there are twists and turns that are unpredictable. And actually, I don't very much like roller coasters, so I'd really like to actually get off, if I'm honest. So I think for me, life is a bit like a roller coaster. I think life also at the moment is a little bit like the Bohemian Rhapsody. Lots of different bits that kind of come at me a bit surprisingly. I don't quite know where I am, and it's a bit confusing and not always easy to get a handle on. I also think at the moment, as a metaphor, my life feels a little bit like that old misshapen jumper that I've got upstairs. It's a bit worn, and I think I feel a bit worn out by kind of all this lockdown stuff now, and it feels that life's a little bit out of shape, and I'm not really sure whether I can get that shape back or not. So it feels a bit like that's a good metaphor to describe something that's going on for me at the moment. I wonder if there's a metaphor in there of my ideas that you can relate to, or whether there's a different metaphor that you can come up with for how you're thinking and feeling at the moment. And once you've got your metaphor, I want to give you just a few questions just to consider that might help you a little bit to process and move forward with what is going on for you at the moment. So I want to encourage you to stop for a moment and first of all think about what would be a good metaphor to explain now for you. If you need to pause this video just to give that a moment's thought, then feel free to do so. Maybe you've already got something in your mind. If you have, I'll move on and I'll ask you the first of the three questions I want to ask you. But as I say, if you need to pause, feel free to pause. So the first question I want to ask you, as you've thought about that metaphor and you've connected a bit about what it feels like to be in the season, I wonder what practical suggestion you would give to someone experiencing the same things as you. So we're often very good at being experts in other people's life and stuff. We lack the objectivity sometimes in our own life to be able to ask that kind of question. And so I'm encouraging you just for a moment to think a little bit about, are there practical suggestions that you might give to someone who is experiencing the same things as you? Tap into all that wisdom that already exists within you, and maybe just consider for a few moments what it is that you might be able to suggest to yourself as a way of dealing with and managing all that is going on at the moment. My second question is, I wonder what your kindest self would say to you about now. We can have a critical side and we can have a kind side. We can be harsh to ourselves or we can be compassionate towards ourselves. And I wonder what your kindest self would say to you about now. What perspective would your kindest self have? What advice, what wisdom, what encouragement might they give? We just take a few moments to write some of those things down and see if you can learn and grow and be encouraged by any of those things. And my third question is a perspective question that gets you to think a bit about the bigger picture. And so I wonder what will have mattered to you the most about this season in 2 years' time. What the question is doing is getting you to do a couple of things. First of all, it's getting you to get in touch with the things that are most important to you, your values, and to remember that you're working in congruence with your values will always make you the happiest. And so I wonder if by thinking about what's going to matter to you in 2 years' time, that will help you to get in touch again with what's important to you and remember and grab hold of those things right now in this season. But the other thing about that question is it's also encouraging you to think about the fact that this stuff will be over at some point, and there's some stuff that's happening right now that really won't matter in 2 years' time. And so it's helpful sometimes just to be able to really focus on the things that are going to matter in the longer term if we possibly can. So I hope that by asking those questions of yourself, by having a little bit of an idea about how you're feeling, by connecting with the metaphor, that you're helped by that in some way. I hope you're encouraged by that in some way. And I hope that it helps you to be able to live well, live fully, and live deeply. Stay safe, and we'll hopefully catch up with you all soon.